Hey guys, tonight we read Drifting through a lavender atmosphere above a living world where the air speaks louder than words. The aliens you're about to meet don't use sound, they communicate through scent, and they've invited you to dinner. You probably won't survive this, socially, gastronomically, maybe existentially, but hey, that's diplomacy. Your descent begins with the shuttle's thermal hull whispering against Nyru's stratosphere. Mauve clouds coil around the viewport like slow, dreamy ink dropped in water. Lightning hums in curling spirals, not jagged lines, but elegant pulses, like the heartbeat of the planet itself. Gravity here is soft. The air is thick with argon and something sweeter, tinged with the citrusy tang of ionized fruit skin and curiosity. You breathe it in. It doesn't quite ask permission. The shuttle autopilot purrs, shifting your seat slightly to brace for the final glide. You float toward the window, peering at the terrain below. It's not terrain, actually. Not exactly. The landing pad is a spiraling platform of broad, interlocking leaves, swaying rhythmically in time with a music you can't hear. Or maybe you can, your skin itches with some new frequency, a vibration that makes the hairs on your arms quiver like antennae. The locals call it welcome. As your boots touch the springy surface, it emits a faint floral puff reception pheromone. According to your guide tablet, a pop-up on the display blinks, initiating olfactory translation protocol. There's no turning back now. You've trained sure that this is no holism. Real alien noses, real alien feelings, real alien food. One step out of place and you could declare war with a sneeze. A tall, insectal figure approaches, arms flowing like silk banners underwater. Their fronds shimmer with moist colors, hues you don't have names for. Your translator pings, Ambassador Joan, scent name, bloom within shadow. Joan emits a slow rising spiral of fragrance dark molasses, firewood after rain, something like blackberries at a funeral. Your HUD helpfully annotates, breeding, formal, cautious, slightly amused, possibly flirtatious. You're not sure whether to blush or bow, so you do both, awkwardly. Jeanne releases a quick snap of citrus pine sharpness. Response, delighted confusion. Welcome, human delegate, Jeanne says, or rather, the translator pulses the thought into your head as the scent diffuses. May your lungs find poetry in our banquet? A polite way to say, don't die tonight. You follow Joan along a pathway that grows itself ahead of each step, unrolling vines like red carpets. Buildings rise around you, if buildings is the right word. Everything's grown, not built. The embassy is a hollowed tree thicket with ceilings of living moss and walls that adjust opacity in response to your breath. Occasionally, panels flicker with color-coded aroma trails, guiding you by the nose. A young assistant hands you a silver band. Please wear this on your throat, she says. It dampens unintended emissions. You blink. Unintended. What? Breath speech. Untranslated. Accidental mating signals are common, also blasphemy. And sometimes both. You secure the band like a tie before a first date, suppressing the urge to inhale too deeply. The air is thick with a million stories, none of them yours. Yet, the central hall expands before you, a vast dome of petal glass arches. Translucent creatures drift overhead, their bodies like floating orchids or philosophical jellyfish. They pulse soft gusts of perfume that change the color of the ceiling public emotion tuning, your HUD whispers. It's their way of tracking the room's vibe. It currently smells like tentative optimism with notes of dry paprika. You arrive at a tall arch woven from vines that hum softly. A kind of airlock. On the other side, the banquet chamber. You pause. This is it. The official first contact dinner with the scent-speaking aliens of Nyru. You, an earthborn representative of a young and noisy species, are about to sit down and eat with creatures who treat odor as sacred text. One deep breath, band secured. You step through the archway. The band around your throat hums faintly, sensing with your breathing like a second heartbeat. As you cross the threshold into the banquet chamber, the temperature shifts warmer, slightly humid, and rich with an ever-changing medley of scents. Immediately, the air curls around your face like curious fingers, sampling you as much as you're sampling it. You try not to inhale too sharply. You've been told that aggressive sniffing can be interpreted as a challenge. The scent field hits you full force, nutmeg over ozone, sandalwood edged with cut grass, and something like burnt toast. Your HUD struggles to catch up. Ambient emotional register, anticipation, hunger, low-grade suspicion. And that's just the room. The guests are already assembled. Some float, some slither, some stand upright like mannequins woven from kelp and crystal. Most are Neruvians, their sensory fronds elegantly extended. Others, you're not sure, representatives from other alien races. Culinary assistants, scent musicians. A few carry instruments that look like lungs in cages, squeezing them to release brief fragrant chords into the air. You log a mental note, find out later if that counts as music or burping. Ambassador Jean leads you to a low, cushiony seating circle made of fungus that gently puffs with lavender every time someone shifts. A table rises slowly from the center ground, not built, of course carved into petal-like tiers. Aromatic mists swirl between the levels, carefully maintained by unseen diffusers. Before anyone can start eating, Jean gestures toward your throat band. You may deactivate it now, their translator pulses. But carefully, your first scent is always your loudest. You hesitate, and then you press the toggle. The band unlatches with a soft hiss, like releasing a pressurized secret. Instantly, you feel it. A gentle breeze emanating from your own breath, carrying the scent of nervous anticipation overlaid with caffeine, synthetic laundry detergent, and just a hint of space sickness. Several guests lean forward slightly. One emits a brief scent spiral that smells like warm toast and curiosity. Translation, fresh. A nearby guest wafts something like fennel, charcoal, and nostalgia at you. Your HUD interprets it as a formal greeting, tinged with intrigue and the possibility of friendship. You try to respond in kind, but all you can do is breathe and hope your molecules say something polite. One particularly ancient-looking Nyruvian coughs, a dry burst of cinnamon and stale ink, a signal that they find your presence tolerable, if not thrilling. Progress. Jean speaks their scent again, their exhalation deep and syrupy, cedar, iron, overripe figs. Let us begin the language of dining. Plates appear, or rather, leafy tendrils rise from the table, unfurling like flower petals to reveal food. If you can call it that. One dish squirms gently, releasing a scent akin to a library on fire. Another glows softly and smells like ambition. A third is entirely invisible, but your brain tingles when you lean over it, as though the scent speaks in a dialect meant for neurons, not noses. You're handed a set of small tools, not quite chopsticks, not quite tongs, but elegantly curved and alive with biofeedback pulses. Touching them makes your hand feel temporarily bilingual. Jalm explains, every course speaks, some politely, some not. You must listen first, then taste. You attempt to listen to a silver pod that vibrates faintly. It smells like distant thunder and longing. You lift it with your tool, nod respectfully, and take a bite. Flavor floods you, not just taste, but memory. You're 10 years old again, standing on Earth's coast, salt air in your lungs. Your uncle trying to teach you to fish and failing miserably. You blink rapidly. Around the circle, the other guests murmur approvingly via scent, of course. Good resonance, one pulses, sage, leather, apricot. You try another dish. This one whispers of sadness and crushed lavender. It tastes like a breakup. You look around. Was that ... intentional? Jean wafts cinnamon lace reassurance your way. It is tradition to begin with the soul's recent wounds. We call it clearing the shadow palette. You're starting to realize that sense speech isn't just the language. It's philosophy, therapy, politics. Everything is encoded, and you're breathing all of it and leaking your own essence into the air every second. The room is one huge conversational cloud. You test a small puff of breath calculated, slow trying to emulate the scent of curiosity. It comes out as a mix of rosemary, adrenaline, and yesterday's toothpaste. Someone nearby chuckles a playful exhale of rain on stone and peach skin. You're getting the hang of it. Sort of. The garden embassy is alive, not metaphorically, literally. Every vine, every wall, every floor tile is part of a single interwoven organism, humming with low-level bioluminescence and biochemical signals. You walk slowly, trying not to crush any moss that looks like it might remember the insult. Jeanne leads you through an arched hallway, its ceiling lined with flowers that exhale polite aromatics with every footstep minty gratitude when you walk evenly, a passive-aggressive whiff of vinegar when you step too loudly. You're in the lungs of a diplomat, a living space tuned to mood and motion. Each room reflects communal sentiment, Jeanne explains via translator, their scent spiraling toward you like incense on a breeze. We believe architecture must participate in the conversation. That makes you glance upward at a window that opens like a blinking eyelid. It closes again, releasing a scent like curiosity mixed with the memory of warm bread. You wonder whether it's listening or just bored. The banquet room opens wide, a great spherical chamber cradled in flowering vines. Walls shimmer between translucent and opaque, modulating based on what each guest wants others to perceive. Near the ceiling, tendrils drift like chandelier arms, dripping glowing droplets that burst into scent particles upon contact with air. You're breathing a story in every breath, and not all of it is yours. A seat unfolds for you near a low, flat blossom table, apparently. It adjusts its shape until your legs fit perfectly beneath its curled edge. A soft sigh of fresh basil escapes from underneath, as if the furniture is acknowledging your presence. A soft vibration in your seat sends a notification through your spine. Cultural cue, gratitude required. Exhale lightly with sweetness. You try. Your exhale is a feeble mist of sugar and nervous sweat. The table emits a puff of damp clove appreciation with tolerance. Not bad. Jeanne introduces you to the other diners with a flourish of scent, sun-warmed stone, sea salt, and cumin. This is the human delegate from Earth, breath-born, voice-heavy, sensory narrow, but open-hearted. You bow slightly as every guest exhales some variation of recognition. One smells like printer ink and espresso, another like wood polish and disappointment. A third hits you with a wave of petrichor and saffron, almost familiar. You begin to realize that every Nyruvian is a choir. Their scent identity isn't a singular tone, but a symphony, shifting with mood, intention, and digestion. Tonight's ensemble includes at least 15 Nyruvians, and one being you can only describe as a floating fern with a heartbeat. You briefly consider that it might be dinner, but then it waves a frond at you and releases a smell like pine needles and formal education. Clearly, it's a guest. The room grows dimmer as the first course is prepared. Aromatic mist coils in midair, separating into ribbons that weave over the table like smoke train dancers. Jeanne flicks a tentacle toward you and pulses, observe the etiquette fog. A faint grid of light illuminates the table's surface. Each region of the grid has a corresponding scent assigned: respect, pleasure, apology, curiosity. These will guide your breathing through dinner, Jeanne says. You're playing an instrument you can't see, in a concert no one told you was happening. And if you exhale in the apology zone while tasting a pleasure dish, you might accidentally offend someone's larva spouse's entire ancestry, so no pressure. Your first dish arrives. It's presented on a platform that unfolds like a fungus in time-lapse, revealing a gelatinous orb cradled in a translucent leaf. Its scent profile: orchid oil, static charge, The ozone before a storm. You lean forward, cautious. The gelatin trembles. And then your HUD warns you a second too late. It releases a testing puff. You freeze mid-breath. It smells you. The jelly orb reacts, changing color slightly, then emits a scent of surprise and chocolate disappointment. Oh no, you've insulted it? Jean leans in and gently exhales what can only be described as lavender-infused damage control. You attempt to recover, adjusting your breath to project mild reverence and hungry confusion. The orb shimmers, accepts the apology. You eat it whole. It tastes like a memory you haven't made yet, like the promise of a kiss during a thunderstorm, or déjà vu in reverse. You're not sure you liked it, but the table glows blue amber beneath your hand sincerity registered. Someone nearby exhales burnt toast in cautious approval. You're doing fine. You reach halfway through your second course, a curled root stuffed with fizzing spores that smell like damp velvet and regret, when the real introductions begin. Jean rises slightly, not by standing, but by elongating. Their fronds stretch taller, posture coiling into the traditional stance of formal engagement. They emit a soft fan of scent, dry pine, chalk dust, and the sharpness of unripe citrus. The HUD tags it as social opening, declare guests. One by one, the others respond in kind, rising in ripples and exhaling their introductions. You meet frond across frond, who smells of petrichor, lichen, and suspiciously like orange peels, a regional dialect, perhaps. They're an archival steward responsible for preserving scent histories of extinct fauna. They incline slightly toward you and emit a blend of book mold and satisfaction, which the translator helpfully registers as I've smelled worse. Then there's V, a being whose body resembles a stack of damp ferns, flexing and folding rhythmically as they speak. Their scent is wild and chaotic ginger root, charcoal, the unmistakable sting of raw onion but laced with childlike curiosity. The HUD struggles and finally settles on, diplomatic intern prone to unfiltered sentiment. Next is a trio of Nyruvian conjoiner siblings, sharing a single scent core but 3 bodies. They move in graceful synchrony, releasing coordinated waves of scent like an organic chorus. Their names are variants of song with invisible edges, and their breath smells like snow, nostalgia, and sadness wrapped in mint. You get the impression they're important, either artists or aristocrats, or both. Then someone wafts something unusual across the table. It's you, or rather a mimicry of you, your scent but exaggerated. A satirical perfume, crisp laundry detergent turned chemical. Coffee notes dialed up to earthquake, a cartoon of your humanity. You blink. The source is a shimmering Nyruvian whose fronds ripple like jellyfish in slow motion. They emit a second burst. Cooked beef, neon plastic, fierce sweat. The smell of humans and spaceports. Jean pulses alarm. Careful. This is Feck, our satirist. Feck waves a frown lazily, like a magician finishing a bad trick. The air around them smells like someone opened a middle school locker on Mars. You consider saying something, then realize any scent you emit in defense might come off as insecurity. Or worse, agreement. Instead, you channel your best poker breath. Cool, neutral, unreadable. Your exhale is ... cardamom and drywall. You have no idea what that even means. But Feck flares their fronds in appreciation and releases a note of baked clay and faint apology. You've passed the test. For now. You handled that well. Jean pulses. Mockery is a form of welcome, particularly in satire class. You glance sideways. Wait, what class am I in? Jean wafts. Technically? Experimental. Just as you're absorbing that, the next course arrives. It's not food, exactly. It's air captured in shimmering bubbles that hover mid-air, each holding a blend of scents so complex it pulses in colors visible to your eyes. This is the palate's reset, a breathing ritual. You each inhale a different bubble. Yours smells like snowmalt and the memory of being wrong. It tastes like the breath you take just before apologizing. For a moment, the entire room is quiet except for breath. Each inhale, each slow exhale is part of a shared rhythm. No words, no translation, just the communal act of oxygen and empathy. Then movement. A tall Neruvian, previously silent, rises from the edge of the circle. Their frowns are tinted copper and dusted with silvery spores that sparkle when they exhale. They approach you slowly, trails swirling behind them like incense underwater. Their scent is peculiar, like warm vinyl, rust, and old tree bark. This is Elder Sish, Jaume explains, our cultural historian. They will now conduct the scent alignment, to see if you and Nyru breathe in harmony. You're not sure what that entails, but the elder reaches out gently, fronds fluttering near your chest. You hold still. They inhale deeply, then they exhale straight toward your face. Your senses flood now, drown in overlapping memories. Snowfalls you haven't lived, grief that isn't yours. The thrill of prey caught mid-chase, the lullaby of dust settling on bones. Your lungs seize. For a second, you forget which breath is yours, then it's over. The elder tilts their head and smiles. Your HUD pings, alignment rating, 87%, remarkably high. Gel means in. You're officially interesting. A warm breeze curls through the banquet space as the scent alignment fades. Elder Sish recedes into their spiral of vines with a satisfied breath that smells like worn parchment and lightning-struck stone. You're left blinking at nothing, lungs still echoing with a fragrance that wasn't yours. Jaume emits a soft trail of clove and almond approval, with a trace of relief. It is time, their translator pulses gently, for the welcome scent ceremony. You suppress a gulp. You've read about it, barely past the olfactory diplomacy simulations back at the lunar embassy. It's the traditional moment of mutual scent exchange like a handshake, but with 10,000 data points and zero margin for error. A new structure rises in the center of the circle, a bulbous bloom with spiral vents that gently exhale synchronizing pulses of lavender and myrrh. The guests quiet themselves. The air shifts to reverent stillness. Jaume turns to you. You must exhale the deepest version of yourself, not the mass scent, not the formal airs. Breathe your essence. You wonder if you have a deepest version. You've been using scented wipes and caffeine gum for most of the day. Still, you close your eyes, inhale, exhale. The air leaves you in a slow, hesitant wave. Your scent curls into the space like a child entering a classroom alone for the first time. It's not bad. A mix of clean metal, ozone from recycled air, trace warmth of memories, childhood, citrus soap, engine grease, nervous optimism. For a moment, nothing. Then the room exhales back. One by one, the Neruvians respond, not mimicry, not judgment, harmony. They add their own notes like instruments joining yours, chamomile, dusty cinnamon, rain on asphalt, freshly crushed mint. The air becomes a symphony with your scent as its key. And then something else. A sudden wave, unexpected sweet molasses, scorched rosemary, and the subtle acidic bite of rusted iron. It cuts through the harmony like a blade through fog. You sway. Someone nearby gasps in scent, a burst of alarmed tangerine and camphor. Feck. The satirist has offered their version of your true essence. A caricature, a test. It smells like desperation hidden behind cologne. The kind of breath someone gives when trying not to cry in public. Artificial peppermint layered over burnt pride. You flinch? Jaume reacts instantly, unfurling a cone of protective scent honeyed smoke and strong cedar that pushes Feck's mockery outward, like a breeze scattering flies. Feck hisses with a tone like boiled vinegar, then backs down, tendrils dimming. You do not mock a guest's first truth, Jaume says aloud, voice filtered through your translator with a sudden, dangerous clarity. Feck flicks a final puff dried mushrooms and old chewing gum, then folds in on themselves, shrinking toward the back of the room. And just like that, the air settles. The guests resume their breathing harmony, drawing your original essence back into the center, as if saying, "We accept this. We welcome this. You're stunned." The bloom in the middle closes, glowing softly. The welcome scent ceremony is complete, and you are officially a guest of Nyru. You feel hollowed out, but filled somehow. A gentle tendril brushes your shoulder. It's Aldersish again. Their scent is quiet, this time dried ink, candle wax, and the end of a long day. You did not lie. Your HUD whispers their thought. You nod. Good. The elder continues. Now you must eat the truth. Wait, what? But there's no time to ask. The next dish arrives, presented on a floating platter of gossamer threads. It looks simple, just a pale leaf wrapped around a soft bulb, but the aroma knocks your consciousness sideways. It smells like every embarrassing moment you've ever tried to forget. You hesitate. Joan leans close. This is the root of reflection. It pulls memory through your breath. You must taste it while exhaling what you most regret. I didn't bring my therapy license. You won't need it if you exhale honestly. You steel yourself, breathe in, then out long, slow, and unguarded. You let go of that fight you lost with your father, the mission you botched, the moment in training when you left a crewmate behind, if only for a few seconds, but it was enough. Enough to shape the flavor of your breath forever. The bulb glows, and then you eat it. The taste is brutal. Salted shame, bitterness of missed chances. The cloying sweetness of old guilt. You want to cry. Instead, you exhale again. The room responds with soft notes of comfort, lonely forest after rain, warm fabric left in the sun, the scent of homecoming. You've passed another gate, and you didn't have to speak a single word. The next course is presented with great reverence, lifted not by hands or tentacles, but by a synchronized exhalation from the guests themselves. The shared breath pushes the dish gently across the table until it floats before you, cradled on a gliding pad of warm air and microscopic scent binders. It's beautiful. A translucent bowl filled with a trembling liquid the color of burnt copper and dawn. Suspended in it, soft nodules that pulse gently as if they're thinking. The scent that wafts up is complex basil, moonlit algae, and envy. You hesitate. Jean leans in. This is the course of comparison, they explain. It invites you to taste how others perceive you. That sounds dangerous. You're handed a thin straw made of bone glass and threaded with hair-like nerves that react to your grip. The moment your fingers touch it, the surface tightens, tuning to your temperature and emotional state. You sip. The flavor is nothing at first. Then suddenly, it blooms like someone dumped an entire conversation into your mouth. You're not sure whether to chew or confess. You taste the memory of an instructor's disapproval, the discomfort of being underestimated, and the sting of condescension from someone who once mispronounced your name on purpose. Then it changes. Warmth, curiosity, a slowly growing respect that curls like smoke through winter air. These are their impressions, how Nyru sees you, how the room recalibrates its expectations with each breath you take. You lower the straw, stunned. The aftertaste lingers like finding an old diary and realizing someone's been reading it, but kindly. Suddenly, a scent pulse flashes from across the table. Seared ginger, raw brass, a hint of mirth. Vivi chaotic fern stack tilts toward you and emits a challenging curl of aroma. Try my portion. A second bowl arrives. It smells like fireworks and inside jokes. You sip, and you nearly fall out of your seat laughing. Because this one tastes like you trying to impress someone at a party and failing gloriously. Your first attempt at flirting via scent. The way you muttered cool frowns and accidentally exhaled lust and vanilla shampoo. These frowns quiver with delight. You're very brave, pulses Jean, though the translator overlays the phrase with subtle amusement. You exhale carefully, pine, charcoal, and acceptance. The table responds with a shiver of applause, dozens of micro puffs of bergamot and clapping. Fig. Then comes the next challenge, utensils, or rather, non-utensils. A jelly-like object is placed before you. It's wobbling in a rhythm you swear resembles breathing. No forks, no spoons. Just your hands and intent. Jeanne demonstrates. They lean in and exhale a spiraling scent of gratitude and permission. The jelly splits delicately, forming bite-sized petals. You try the same. You focus your thoughts. I respect you. I ask to share you. Your breath comes out as warm anise, sage, and a nervous twist of chewing gum. The jelly shudders, then divides. Success. You pick up a petal. It feels cool and alive, like touching someone's secret. You place it on your tongue. It tastes like generosity and surprise. But as you chew, you notice a shift in the room. One of the conjoined Nyruvians edge-right pauses, their fronds twitching. A faint wisp of displeasure drifts from their direction, rosemary, flint, and retracted approval. You panic slightly. Did you just offend them? Jeanne flickers a calming scent. Not you, the jelly. Still confused, you glance back at the center of the table, where the jelly originated. It's changing color, slowly darkening from soft green to maroon. Jeanne leans in. Some of their kind believe this species of jelly to be semi-sentient. Edgerite is one of them. Your HUD confirms. Scientific dispute. Bioethical classification of rhythmic jellies remains unresolved. No conclusive brain structure observed. Great. You may have just eaten something with a minor legal consciousness. You swallow with awkward reverence. Edgerite emits a cool breeze of disappointment layered in politeness. You respond with a puff of humble regret wrapped in mint tea. The table stabilizes. V murmurs a scent your translator tags as, I once accidentally married a jelly, don't worry about it. You glance at them sharply. They wink. You're halfway through the meal, and you haven't declared war yet. Progress. It starts with a sneeze. Just a single, sharp, involuntary puff that escapes before you can stop it. A tiny explosion of breath mid-chew, sending a faint cloud of unfiltered scent into the shared airspace. You freeze. The room freezes. Jeanne turns to you slowly, their frowns subtly curling inward like a cat bracing for a thunderclap. The air goes silent, not soundless, but scentless. No one is breathing. Then, very softly, a wave rolls out from where you sit. Your accidental exhale carried more than mucus. It carried a scent. A very specific scent. Grief, damp moss, old paper, rusted garden tools, and the bitter undertone of funerals. Your HUD flares red. Unauthorized broadcast. Lost signature detected. Panic grips your lungs. You try to exhale neutral to disperse the mistake, but your breath stutters. And that only adds to the mix and overlay of anxiety and deodorant. Too late. Across from you, one of the eldest Nyruvians, broad-fronded and stone-colored, lets out a long, tremulous spiral of scent. Your HUD tries to translate but hesitates. It flashes 3 options in quick succession. Morning. Recognition. Challenge. Oh, no. Jeanne speaks in a whisper of peppermint and smoke. You've triggered the memory bond scent. Elder Elch believes you have honored a lost mate. I sneezed. Yes, but your heart said goodbye. Elch rises. Their frowns expand like sails catching wind, and a wave of scent pours across the table, an intoxicating mix of warm cedar, crushed blue flowers, and the unmistakable ache of having loved deeply and lost slowly. You breathe it in and feel something ancient shatter in your chest. You have lost someone. Not a mate, not in the Nyruvian sense. But you remember suddenly, vividly, the friend who died on Luna Station 3, the one who said, I'll wait right here, and never got the chance. Elsh approaches you. They extend a single frown, trembling at the edge, and pulse a note that feels like a hug made of smoke and garden dirt. A ritual is beginning. Jelm is by your side, gently pulsing guidance. You must respond. Honor them. Share the sense of your departed. You hesitate, but there's no backing out. You inhale. Close your eyes, and then exhale everything. The memory of quiet laughter on broken airlocks. The bitter coffee from rehydrated packs. The cold metal bunk and the warmth of a voice you can't hear anymore. You let it all drift out of you, wet soil, coffee grounds, burned wiring, shampoo packets, lonely starlight. Else receives it. They tilt their head back and release a counter scent. Respect, mourning, and inclusion. You're not sure what just happened. Then Jelm explains, gently, you've entered a grief pact. Elch has taken part of your sorrow, and in return, they offer a piece of their own. It's a lot, and it gets stranger. Because now a young Nyruvian approaches one of the lava spouses, delicate and shivering, trailing scents of citrus and candle wax. They stop in front of you. They exhale softly innocence, vulnerability, acceptance. Then they offer you something, not an object, not food, but a breath. You lean in, unsure, and inhale their gift. And just like that, your vision floods with a memory that isn't yours. A blooming garden, a partner who died, a ritual of scent dances under twin moons, 1,000 lifetimes of sorrow compressed into a moment of scent. You stagger, but you don't fall. The larva spouse nods and retreats. Jelm touches your shoulder. You have passed the grief bridge. You're part of the circle now. Your throat is tight. Not from sadness, but awe. You sniff. No sneeze this time. Just acceptance. The room doesn't return to normal. It shifts into something deeper, softer. Breaths are slower now, scented less with formality and more with memory. Even Feck, still curled in their corner, emits faint plumes of bitter plum and cooling coal, a Nyruvian apology, slow-cooked and reluctant. Jelm rises and gestures toward an arch woven from amber tendrils. Come, they pulse. The banquet pauses. It is time you walk the archive. You stand, legs slightly unsteady from the scent storm you just survived. The arch responds to Jelm's breath and unfurls like a sleeping creature stirred gently awake. A hallway reveals itself dim, glowing faintly with the green of deep moss and bioluminescent spores. No one follows. This is a journey meant for one. You step inside. The scent shifts instantly. Outside, you breathed in dinner and diplomacy. Here you breathe history. Every few paces, the air changes. You smell a riot. You smell a coronation. You smell a civil war that involved no weapons, just the sudden, widespread scent of betrayal broadcast across a continent. Your HUD offers translations, but they feel inadequate. The nose is faster than text. Vines along the corridor pulse in time with your movement. Embedded in them are pod-like sacs memory bulbs. Each holds a captured scent from Nyru's past, stored in aromatic stasis. You approach one. It glows pale blue and smells like ash and salt. A plaque beside it pulses, the day the sea refused us. You inhale gently. The taste of salt floods your throat. Not ocean salt lost salt. The difference is impossible to describe, but you feel it. You see it. 100,000 Nyruvians on the shore, scent screaming at the waves, watching their coastal blooms rot overnight. An ecological disaster ... or a message? Your HUD blinks, unresolved debate, tectonic bloom shift or deliberate terror response. Next bulb, rust, wet stone and something floral. The scent rides of hollow cycle. You breathe in, your knees buckle slightly. It was a revolution, one where the poor could no longer afford language. Scent production had been monopolized, artificial glands taxed, perfumed syntax patented. Protesters exhaled forbidden blends in defiance. One released a pheromone so evocative of justice that 3 city cores self-collapsed from emotional resonance. You continue. Time folds in this corridor. You inhale a scent that smells like deja vu. Your HUD stutters. No historical record. Possibly proverbial era memory. The bulb glows faintly red, then pulses at your presence. You lean in. The smell was unlike anything else. It's warmth, but the kind found inside, not outside. The scent of unrecorded affection, of the first Nyruvian parent who lingered beside a newly hatched foundling rather than scent casting them into the wild. Its tenderness, ancient and undocumented. You realize not every memory here is tragic. Some are simply forgotten because no one thought them important enough to archive until someone did. You pause at a particularly dim pod. No label, no translation. You inhale and instantly regret it. The scent was hollow, metallic, sharp, and empty, like a space where something used to be. Not forgotten, erased. You cough. The HUD panics, uncatalogued aroma, genetic trauma markers detected. The pod pulses violently, then fades into darkness. The corridor seems to pull away from you, and then you see it. At the end of the archive, a black bulb. It isn't glowing. It's absorbing light. Around it, vines wither. Jeanne appears beside you again, though you never saw or heard them arrive. That scent is forbiddance. You shiver. Why is it here? Because forgetting it didn't work. They emit a single note, charcoal, rain-soaked pages, and quiet warning. The others who lived on Nyru before us. You look again. The black bulb remains sealed. Were they wiped out, you ask? Jeanne doesn't answer. They don't have to. The scent around the bulb is silence. Not emptiness, suppression. Your skin tingles. Your heart beats a little faster. We do not open that pod, Jeanne says quietly. Then why show me? So, they pulse. That some truths were once breath, and some breaths were never meant to linger. You leave the archive in silence. And the air, for once, carries no scent at all. The archive never fully leaves you. Even back at the banquet, with its warm lighting and complex aroma dances, something in your lungs still tastes like that black pod. The scent of absence, the ache of something no longer allowed to be remembered. It's not a smell so much as a silence with teeth. The guests have resumed their meals. Chords of cinnamon and citrus drift lazily through the air. The mood has shifted softer now, almost contemplative, but the scents are thinner than before. Everyone feels the echo of what you inhaled. Jeanne returns to your side. Their scent is steady, sandalwood, patience, and faint lavender stability, offered gently. You're quiet, they pulse. You nod. I smelled. History no one wants to remember. Jeanne exhales something like cardamom and closed books. We have never known what happened to them. The species before us. Only that they vanished and left no scent behind, except ... that. And you kept it? We tried not to. A pause, then softer, but forgetting is not the same as healing. You don't reply. You can't. Your own scent is unfocused, now drifting between uncertainty and salt. The next course arrives on floating lily pads, each carrying a delicate structure of woven fruit flesh and crisp spice root. It smells like hope, but Jeanne leans close again. Their fronds barely move, but their scent intensifies. Gingered soil and ozone. There is something we wish to try with you. You arch an eyebrow. Does it involve jelly marriage? Jeanne's scent flares briefly amusement with a drop of alarm. No, this is more ... ambitious. From the side chamber, a team of scented-ups enters, trailing swirls of pale blue mist. They carry with them a long, coiled pipe living, pulsing faintly, and trailing from a sealed pod at the far end of the room. The air shifts around it. You catch the first trace of the scent before you're ready, and freeze. It smells like ... Earth, but not the sanitized version you've known aboard stations and shuttles. Not the recycled greenery of lunar parks. No, this is raw earth mud after rain. unwashed strawberries, and the burnt tang of lightning-struck pine. The entire room goes still. Even the Nyruvians react, frowns shifting, bodies leaning unconsciously forward. Some blink in rapid pulses, overwhelmed. This, Sean says, is a reconstruction. A what? A scent built from records, traces, chemical echoes you carried with you. A synthetic reassembly of your origin world. You inhale again. And the wave hits you harder this time. Grass stains on knees. The smell of wet asphalt on childhood afternoons. The grease from a street vendor's grill you hadn't thought about in 10 years. Sweat, engine oil, petrichor, sunscreen. It's not nostalgia, it's home. Jean watches you carefully. We believe the memory of place is central to identity. We wondered ... if your kind would respond to his scent mirroring. You try to speak. You can't. Your eyes sting not from emotion, but some ancient reflex reawakened. Then something stranger happens. The pipe begins to change. Its scent, once stable, now evolves, shifting in waves as your own scent begins to bleed into it. Feedback, not a static archive, but a dialogue. Your memories are responding, feeding it. You smell a night under alien stars when you first left Earth. A cracked boot sole that never fit right. The exact aroma of the box your mother packed with letters and snacks and air that wasn't filtered. The scent device pulses. The Nyruvians react with reverence. You glance down. Your hands are shaking. Jean speaks, softer now. This is not just your memory. It's the breath of your species, the smell of arrival. They offer you the pipe. You hesitate only a second, and then you breathe it in. You see cities you've never walked, streets you've never crossed, people whose faces you don't know, but whose scent memory you now carry. Humanity rendered aromatic, the flavor of existence. It's too much. You exhale slowly, trembling. Jean places a frond on your shoulder. It is an old theory, they pulse, that some memories once shared grow stronger than any word. You nod, and you're not entirely sure your breath still smells like only you anymore. The moment the earth reconstruction scent fades, it's as if a collective sigh releases from the room, subtle, unified, and scented with quiet awe. You sit still, not entirely present, your lungs and memory chamber echoing with overlapping identities. Then the scent shifts again. Something new fills the air, fermentation, citrus rot, the warm hiss of active bacteria. A culinary edge hums through the space. Jean's fronds tilt toward you. It is time, they pulse, to create something that has never been tasted. That gets your attention. A space at the table transforms. Vines retract, revealing a shallow depression filled with thick mist. A cooking basin. The mist lifts, revealing 3 ingredients. A pale Nyruvian root that glows faintly when touched. A suspended sack of living fungal culture, and of all things, a vacuum-sealed pouch labeled an Earth standard. Caution, capsaicin concentrate. You squint. Is that ... hot sauce? We retrieved it from your luggage, Jean says innocently. We were ... curious. You laugh, surprised. That stuff's not for the faint of tongue. Perfect, they pulse. Neither's peace. You and Jean step forward together. This is a fusion course. A dish forged not in tradition, but in improvisation. In the language of breath and risk. They exhale the opening scent, garlic, mint, and smoldering moss, and begin to score the root with a frond blade. Each slice releases a burst of scent, spice, fog, something like the memory of falling asleep in a warm cave. Your job is to introduce the human element. You tear open the capsaicin pouch. Immediately, the room reacts. Several Nyruvians recoil, emitting pulses of alarm and admiration. One collapses backward into a comfort moss pit, their fronds curling like burned paper. Too much? You ask. Jean studies the atmosphere with a slow breath of stabilizing notes, time and lake water, and zero judgment. It is ... bold. We continue. You dip the root into a mixture of the hot sauce and the Nyruvian spore culture. It sizzles faintly, releasing steam, steam that smells like power, not violence, not pain, but the kind of heat that opens sinuses and political possibilities. Jeanne slices the root and plates a portion. You each take a piece, you breathe in, you chew, and both of you make the same involuntary sound, a stifled cry that sounds like someone being punched in the soul. The room collectively inhales. The scent explodes across the chamber. Joy, shock, something like falling in love while being struck by lightning. The flavor is beyond metaphor. It's every argument you've ever had that ended in laughter. It's the sharp edge of understanding. It's truth, pan-seared. Feck, in the back, emits a single spiraling puff of pure disbelief. They made it edible. Edgewright releases an approving wave of clove and glacier vapor. Even the conjoined chorus sings coordinated plumes of approval that smell like cultural progress. You and Jell lock eyes, though eyes is generous. It's more like your breath acknowledges their breath. The taste lingers. Jeanne exhales a slow wave of cedar and candied lime. We must give this scent a name. You think for a second, then you say, call it treaty fire. Jeanne repeats the phrase, each syllable blooming into scent. Treaty, fire, a hush falls, then applause. Not clapping, of course, but the Nyruvian version. A series of synchronized scent pulses, echoing off the ceiling and walls like a rising chorus of emotion made fragrant. The dish is declared a success. A new scent born from two worlds. And already copies are being grown inside pots. A flavor for the future. You've just invented diplomacy cuisine. And your mouth is still on fire. Your lips are still tingling from the treaty fire when the lights begin to dim. Not sharply, but like a breath winding down, pulsing softer, deeper. The air thins, not in oxygen, but in scent. The symphony quiets to a hum. Jeanne exhales a ribbon of violet and windblown sand. It is time for the scent dance. You blank. I thought this was the dance. Jeanne's scent replies, that was just dinner. The room transforms. Petals unfold on the floor. Vines withdraw. What was a banquet chamber becomes a circular clearing of pulsing light and faint fog. A low vibration begins beneath your feet, a rhythm you feel before you hear. Guests rise not walking, but floating slightly. Their frowns extend and shimmer. Each body moves with a kind of pulsing grace, shaped by the rhythm of their own breathing. The scent field activates, releasing gentle bursts of shared memory mist into the air. You're in the center. Jeanne joins you, their movements slow and spiraled. Their exhale blooms outward in waves of emotion, awe, memory, desire, amusement. The scents dance together, forming shapes in the air loops, knots, arcs of fragrant story. This is how we celebrate, they pulse. With breath, with motion, with what cannot be written. You try to follow, at first it's awkward. Your breath is too loud, your movements too sharp. But then you remember the fusion dish, the risk, the fire. You loosen your arms, breathe slower, and let your own scent begin to move. You think of earth, of home, of memory, and you dance. Each exhale releases fragments, fresh soil, rain on glass, the waxy edge of a book spine, that one specific hospital hallway you never expected to remember. The Nyruvians respond. They weave your scent into theirs, like a choir looping in a new melody. The air fills with shared resonance, then it shifts. Not everyone is watching you now, because something new is happening. A scent you didn't release appears, bitter tarragon, static electricity, fear. It drifts in from the edge of the room, trailing a scent line like a fuse. Jeanne turns sharply. Someone is projecting memory without grounding. A moment later, the fog flashes, blue, then green, then sharp orange, and you're not in the room anymore. You're inside a vision, not a dream, not hallucination. A scent-hallucinated memory field, Nyruvian ceremonial trance mode. Your body hasn't moved, but your senses have been hijacked by a collective projection. You stand on a high cliff under twin moons. A Nyruvian stands before you, not Chelm. Taller, older, their scent is complex, layered with power and sorrow. You don't recognize the scene, but the emotions are unmistakable. Regret, rejection, warning. The figure breathes. And you see flashes quick, incomplete, a ruined grove, a silent chamber. A black pot cracked open, the scent of them. The species that came before, and something else. The figure turns to you, breath thick with alarm, and pulses one word, scent encoded, burned into the air like cinnamon fire. Return. Then you're back in the room. Everyone's stunned. Even the Nyruvians look shaken. What was that? You whisper. Jelm is trembling, their scent scrambled clove, vinegar, ozone. A warning, they say softly. From whom? No answer. Only silence. And the faint, lingering scent of extinction. The scent dance ends, not with applause, but with a shared silence. It is not empty, it is reverent. You're back in your seat, hands trembling slightly while the air resets itself. The vents hum softly, filtering out lingering traces of trauma and mystery, as if even the ventilation system understands when to be gentle. Jean sits across from you, frowns folded, sense subdued. What did you see? They ask at last. You hesitate. A memory, but not mine. A warning. The species before you, before us. Jean nods, slowly. We sensed it too. A breath from the past, forced into the present. You glance around. Other guests murmur or pulse faint notes of unease. One Nyruvian has left the room entirely, leaving behind only a faint perfume of sandalwood and fear. It is Feck who breaks the tension. They roll forward, scenting sharp ginger and eucalyptus. Perhaps this is the point, they say. True diplomacy is not about pleasure, but revelation. Jelm nods again, scent softening into warm smoke and orange peel. Then let's not leave the story unfinished. They rise and motion toward a new archway, this one veiled in translucent mist. You walk together. The hallway is silent, and the scents are thin only, the faintest trace of pollen, an ocean wind. It feels like being inside someone else's thoughts. You reach a chamber smaller than the others. In the center, a long table with only 2 seats. This is not a banquet room. This is a treaty chamber. There are no dishes. No scent clouds, just raw air. Jean sits opposite you. They speak not in scent, not in breath, but in words. We want to formalize this contact, not just friendship, not just food, but a shared future. You blink, a treaty. Jean's voice vibrates in your bones, a mutual pact. You will bring this back to your people. In return, we will offer access to our scent vaults, our knowledge, our stories. And what do you ask in return? Jean exhales, then says that you teach us to forget ... properly. You lean forward. What do you mean? Their frowns unfold like a sigh. We archive everything, every scent, every mistake. But there's no ritual for moving on, no forgetting ceremony. Your people have grief, closure. We have only ... persistence. You're quiet a long time. Then you say, we don't forget. Not really. We just choose where the memory lives. Jean's head tilts. So teach us how to move a memory, you offer, from breath ... to story. They smile, no teeth, no lips, just a flicker of sweet tea and cedar resin. Hope, a new scroll is unrolled between you. Bioluminescent ink pulses faintly. You pick up the stylus. Together, you begin writing. The first sentence is scentless, but it is understood. It says, we met, we shared breath, we will remember. And even as you write it, you know, some part of this night will live in your lungs forever. The treaty scroll remains open, glowing softly between you and Jelm. Though the words are few, the room feels heavier, like a breath held just a second too long. But it's not anxiety. It's anticipation. Gelm rises. Their scent unfurls. Sandalwood, stone after rain, a hint of metal. Ceremony preparation. We'd like to share one last rite, they pulse. A final proof of trust. And of vulnerability. You nod, unsure, but ready. You're guided through another corridor, this one winding upward. The path is alive, literally. It responds to your steps with ripples of bioluminescence and soft, warm exhales. The air narrows until you feel like you're walking through the lungs of some vast, breathing beast. At last, you arrive at a chamber with no walls, only a circular boundary of hovering stones. Above you is Nyru's sky midnight blue, scattered with violet stars. A breeze carries the scent of distant lightning and crushed bark. In the center is a low basin filled with thick, dark liquid. Surrounding it, 5 Nyruvians, their fronds slow and ceremonial. Jean joins them, completing the circle. This is the memory pool, they explain. It records not images, but emotions attached to breath. Once shared, a memory becomes collective. You look at the basin. I just breathe into it. Not just breathe. John corrects. You must exhale something you've never said aloud, something you carry alone. A pause. You stare into the liquid. It doesn't reflect you. It reflects your emotional chemistry. Your surface glows faintly green. Uncertainty, a streak of amber. Grief. You take a breath. Close your eyes and remember your father's last voicemail. The one you never played again. The fear that space would erase the sound of his voice. The guilt of wanting silence instead of grief. You exhale. The basin swirls. Colors explode carmine, indigo, rust. The air thickens with unspeakable feeling. The scent of a hug that never arrived. Of a sentence that ends too soon. The Nyruvians inhale together. Their fronds tremble. Jean steps forward, releasing a soft pulse, ginger tea and hollow stone. You are not alone. Then they exhale their own offering into the pool. You smell loss ancient, quiet, bone deep. A friend, a sibling, a co-scented one, as the translator phrases it. Someone who vanished without a trace, without a final breath. The memory hums like a forgotten melody under your skin. One by one, the other Nyruvians contribute. You catch glimpses, exile, reunion, the joy of being chosen, the fear of becoming obsolete. Each memory breathes itself into the basin, swirling into a kaleidoscope of shared longing. At last, the pool stills. Jean dips a frond in and touches it to your forehead. The memory pool now carries your truth, they say, and ours. A faint scent lingers, citrus rind and candle smoke. Unity formed through fracture. You breathe it in. And for the first time tonight, you don't feel like a guest. You feel like someone who belongs. You descend from the memory pool chamber in silence, your steps no longer echoing but absorbed by the living pathway beneath your feet. Something has changed inside you and in how the world of Nyru responds to your presence. The walls no longer bloom new scents at your passing. They already know you. Jean walks beside you, their fronds relaxed, no longer emitting ceremonial signals. Now they smell like wood smoke and drying ink, the scent of aftermath. You breath with us, they say, gently. Now we must breathe with you. You're led to a final chamber, simple. No bioluminescent theater, no scent clouds. Just an old carved seat and a console of alien design that somehow looks ... familiar. You run your fingers across it. It responds not to pressure, but to body heat. A small panel blooms open. Inside, a recording device. Jean nods. Your message, for Earth. You hesitate. What do you say to a planet that sent you to eat dinner with aliens, only for you to end up soaking your soul into a sentient soup? You tap the panel. A light pulses green. You begin. This is Delegate No, this is just me. I don't know what title fits anymore. I've sat with beings who speak in breath and burn grief like incense. I've eaten truth. I've danced memory. I've been asked to carry their future. You pause, inhale. And I said yes. You explain the treaty. You describe the taste of treaty fire, the way the memory pool shimmered with collective longing. You mentioned the warning, a strange memory that cracked across the scent dance like a thunderclap. They carry their history like perfume. It sticks to them, and now it sticks to me. Another breath. They asked us to teach them how to forget, and maybe. We need to remember better, not just data, not facts, feeling. The recorder glows blue, message saved. You turn to Jean. When will this be sent? It's already transmitting, they say. A beat, on multiple frequencies, some not yet invented. You both laugh. You needed that. Then Jean pulses one final scent, autumn moss and candle wax. It's time to say goodbye. But it's not a sad aroma. It's not grief. It's continuity. They lead you to the docking platform, where your shuttle now waits sleek and impossibly small after all you've seen. A crowd gathers, silent but glowing faintly. Every breath released into the air is carefully chosen. A symphony of farewell. Then something unexpected happens. Feck waddles forward, holding what looks like a tightly wrapped bundle of vines. For your journey, they say. It sings. You unwrap it carefully. Inside, a living blossom. When you hold it near your chest, it hums not sound, but scent. A melody of memory. It smells like everything. Treaty fire, Jean's first greeting. The moment you cried at the memory pool, the dust on Nyru's moons. You look at them all. I'll come back, you say. Jean bows. Until your breath returns. The shuttle door seals with a sigh, and the world of Nyru slips away below, a bioluminescent ripple in the infinite black. You sit in silence, watching the planet shrink into a swirling marble of lavender and amber. The engines hum, but they seem to match the rhythm of your breath. You're not the same. Your lungs carry memories now, invisible tattoos etched in scent. Every time you inhale, you catch something unexpected, a flicker of old wood. Rain on moss, a whiff of joy you didn't feel until now. The autopilot takes you into drift mode, adjusting course for Earth, but there's no hurry. Your return will take weeks. You will drift and think and remember. The flower hums softly beside you. Its scent changes with each shift of thought, the sweet sharp pang of missing someone, the salt of tears held too long, the warm musk of a laugh you forgot you had. It's alive, not just biologically, but emotionally. A little breathing archive of your journey. You stare out the viewport. A distant comet streaks past, shedding frozen memories in its tail. And in your reflection, you see someone unfamiliar. Not transformed, but expanded. There are no words now, just impressions. The faint lingering scent of treaty fire, the way Jean's scent faded just before you parted, like autumn exhaling. The rhythm of your own breath, suddenly meaningful in its silence. You wonder what Earth will smell like when you return. Will the scent of asphalt in coffee shops and wet pavement feel flat? Or will your nose, now attuned to subtleties, find new symphonies in the mundane? Your translator is off now. You don't need it. You understand that breath was never just biology. It was memory, diplomacy, intimacy, and history. The memory petal blossoms again. This time, the scent is a mystery, like a language just beginning to form. And maybe that's all it ever was, a conversation no one finished, a breath that never ended. You close your eyes and let it carry you home. Out in the dark between stars, the engines hum a lullaby meant for deep sleep and longer dreams. Your body begins to soften, melting into the curves of the shuttle chair, where warmth rises gently around your spine like a supportive whisper. The memory flower continues to breathe, gently pulsing with hues you can't name, shades between emotion and memory, flickers between what was and what lingers. Its scent, barely there now, wraps you in comfort. Something like kindness, something like goodbye. Time becomes slow here. Thoughts drift wide, no longer anchored to mission logs or formal protocols. You remember the dance, not the steps. The feast, not the taste. And somehow, the names you exchanged feel like parts of a poem, not politics. Outside the ship, Nyru is already a star among others, small, steady, impossibly quiet. It blinks once and disappears, and yet a trace of it remains in your breath. Sleep begins to settle over you like stardust. You don't fight it, you welcome it. Your last conscious thought is a scent, cedarwood and static rain. It reminds you that something happened, something rare, something real. And as your thoughts dissolve into the long exhale of sleep, you feel it your breath joining the infinite conversation, already drifting outward, already becoming story.